Hey guys, welcome to my session on diatonic chords. So far you will have looked at a few different things. Particularly you would have looked at the musical alphabet, hopefully, how to form a major scale using intervals, the notes from C major and realizing that that's the start key because there's no sharps, how to identify the relative minor, and how to use the circle of fifths. We've only touched on the circle of fifths, we haven't done the full system yet, but that it will be happening in due course. So yeah, you should have a basic grasp of those things. So today we're looking at what is a chord, and we know that a chord is three notes from the scale or the key, separated by intervals. In the case of C major, if we were to write out the C major scale, we would have the first, third and the fifth note together combined to make the C major chord. And that would be C, E and G. So diatonics, what do I really mean by the word diatonic? It's a tricky question. But essentially, when we worked out our major scale, you realise that you have a start note. Let's take C for example. And then you use the pattern of tones and semitones, and it's always tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So if we start on what we call the first degree of the scale, then that would be here at the 12 o'clock position, and then we'd follow the tones. Now if we were to start at 1 o'clock, or 2 o'clock it might look like, you would then have you would move to the second degree of the scale. So you might just have a start note and then have tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, tone. So it's like a dial, it's like a clock face, where you can start a scale on the different degrees of these intervals, but the same notes will appear. Okay, they may not be in the same order, but the same notes will appear. If you start with C at the top here, you'd end up with C, tone to D, tone to E, F, G, A, B, C. It will still be a scale with no sharps. Okay, we'll talk about the circle of fifths a little bit later, but essentially look at the scale as a circular interval pattern rather than linear. Okay, each of these degrees of the scale have a name, and we call them modes. So if we take the C major scale and we start from the first note, which is C, and follow that pattern of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, that gives us the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C. Each of those degrees has a name. So the first mode attached to C would be C Ionian. Then we have the Dorian mode, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. And they all have slightly different flavours. Okay? So it's quite important to recognise that they have a different sort of sound. And that's why we use modes really, is we want to try and create a different feel or vibe. Some modes will sound a little bit jazzier. Some will sound a little bit more major or a bit more minor. Some will sound a little bit more exotic. Okay, now then, if we were to change the key, we could change to G, which would be the next scale on the circle of fifths. We would have G Ionian, A Dorian, B Phrygian, C Lydian, D Mixolydian, E Aeolian, and F sharp Locrian. Now, note then this Aeolian mode is the relative minor and the Ionian is the major note. So diatonic chords, this is what I want to get to. Each of these modes, they won't produce different chords, okay, because you're in one set key. You will only have the same 7 chords, basic triads, okay, that form. So a diatonic chord is made up of notes from a given key. A triad is 3 notes, and then you can have extended chords, which can be 4 or more notes. We need to be able to decipher the chords that can be made from these notes. Okay, in this case we look again working at C major. Remember, C major was formed because of that intervallic pattern of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So if I lay out the notes in order and then we number the notes 1 through to 7, I know that we have C at the end, but that is the octave. Again, it repeats. That'd be number 1 again. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And the way I do this is we may have a start note. I'm going to start with 1. And we're going to miss out a note and then get at the 3, miss out a note at the 5. I'm going to do that for all of the combinations. So you'll see we've got combinations of the 1st, 3rd, and the 5th, which in this case is C, E, and G. Then we move to the 2nd degree of the scale, and we have the 2nd, 4th, and 6th, which provides the notes D, F, and A. 3rd, 5th, and 7th, E, G, B. 4th, 6th, and 1st, which is F, A, and C. And then 5, 7, and 2, G, B, D. 613 ACE and 724 BDF. So those are the 7 combinations of notes that we get if we play this sort of game of leapfrog. And that's how these chords work. You are kind of leapfrogging within this scale. From that, we get these 7 combinations. Some of them will be major, some of them will be minor, and some of them will be diminished. Okay? But it's up to you to find out which ones are which. So there's a little thing that we need to know. To figure out whether a chord is major, minor, or diminished, we need to go back to using the full musical alphabet or the chromatic scale. We have a major chord, which, if we have the start note, let's take C because it's the one that springs to mind the most often. If we have a start note and then counting C as 0, we move forward 4 semitones. So C, move forward 1 to C sharp, 2 to D, 3 to D sharp, 4 to E. So that space from C to E is 4 semitones. And then if we take E now and we count forward 3 semitones, E to F being 1, F sharp being 2, G 3. So that C, E, G is start note of C, 4 semitones to E, then 3 semitones to G. So if we go back to the previous slide, we can see that first chord is going to be major. If we look at D, F, and A, the second chord, well, it's a little bit different. So D to F is actually 3 semitones, because you've got D as your starting point, then forward 1 to D sharp, 2 to E, and because there's no E sharp, it's 3 semitones to F, and then F to A would be 4 semitones. So that's the opposite. So it's a start note, then 3, then 4. That will be a minor chord. Okay. In a situation where you have a space of 3 and then 3, we call that diminished. And going back to the other scale, you would find that one of these scales, one of these chords is a diminished. So the 1st, 3rd, and 5th is C, E, G. We know that that is a major chord. Okay, so the first diatonic triad in C major is the C major triad. The second one, as I just said before, would be D minor, because we have a space of 3 and then 4. So that is the D minor triad. You could then work out the rest of them. Okay, so I'd like you now to pause the video and take some time to revise and find out what these chords are. Remember, if it's a 4 and a 3, it will be major. A 3 and a 4, it will be minor, or a 3 and a 3 will be diminished. Okay, so hopefully you've given yourself a few minutes to do that. and we'll just pick up with the results. So C, E and G is a space of 4 and then 3, making it major. D, F, A is 3 and then 4, making it minor. Then it's over to you. So 3, E to G is 3, G to B is 4, that should be E minor. F, A and C is a space of 4 and 3, making it F major. G, B and D, 4 and a 3, making it major. A, C and E is the relative minor, the 6th chord, and that is a space of 3 and then 4. And then the tricky one was B, D to F, which is a space of 3 and then 3, and that will be diminished. It has its own unique sound. So just to recap, there's the answers again. Okay, now what's important here is you try and start to remember the pattern of chords that have formed. Okay, the first chord of the key was major, the second chord was minor, third chord minor, fourth chord major, fifth chord major, sixth chord minor, seventh diminished, because that will keep happening for other keys. All of this moves and is absolutely linked to other keys. Okay, so major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And when we get onto the circle of fifths, you'll be able to very quickly work out the chords. Say it over and over and over. Okay, spend some time with the PowerPoint and you will see how to learn to play these chords on a piano. These are basic triads. They all require 3 fingers, a thumb and 2 fingers. In the left hand, perhaps try and find the root note. And then the same again for the key of G in the next slide. To accompany this, I've put in some sound clips for you. As an example. Okay guys, thanks for listening and watching. Hopefully you find that really useful. Pause the sections of the video, ask me questions. I'm an open book, available. I love this sort of stuff, so please do ask questions. It's so important that you don't feel silly asking these things. Everyone has been at the starting point, and everyone has different ways of teaching the same thing. So if there's something that Barney in your lessons maybe confused you with, or if I've confused you from something he said, by all means, let's discuss it. The important thing is that you start to digest this, start to use the language of music and chords, because these are our tools. Thank you.